Surveyors and navigators use bearings to specify the location of a point relative to another. The bearing from point O to point P is the acute angle measured in degrees between the ray OP and the north-south line. So let's look at an example here where we find the bearing from O to P for the figure over here on the right. All right, so bearings actually have three parts. The first two parts that we can get here is by observing that we're in the second quadrant. We can take the cardinal direction associated with the positive y-axis, which is north. We always take the cardinal direction from the north-south line first, and then we take the other quadrant angle that our terminal side is in between and look at the cardinal direction associated with the negative x-axis. So I'm looking at north and west. So my bearing is going to contain those two cardinal directions, north and west. Then all I have to do is find the acute angle measured from the north-south line. So I'm looking for that angle right there. And all I have to do to find that angle is take the 128 degrees and subtract away from it the right angle, 90 degrees. So I get that this angle is equal to 128 minus 90. That's a 38 degree angle. So to complete the bearing, the third part is going to be that acute angle measured from the north-south line to the terminal side of the angle here. So the bearings here would be north 38 degrees west. Let's look at another example. So in this case, we have a 215 degree standard angle. And first we're going to take the cardinal directions here, and since I'm in the third quadrant here, I'm going to start with the south and also involve the west. So those are the two cardinal directions I'm using. So south, west. And then I need this angle here, which would be the acute angle measured from the terminal side to the north-south line. So I'm looking for that angle there. And that angle is short of a 270 degree angle. So if I want to know this acute angle, all I have to do is take the given angle, 215 degrees, and subtract it from that 270 degree angle. So this angle is 270 minus 215, or a 55 degree angle. So my bearings then are south 55 degrees west. All right, let's look at a third example here. So I'm going to find the bearing from O to P here, from point O to point P. And I have here a standard angle of 290 degrees. So first I look at the cardinal directions that I'm going to use. And because I'm in the fourth quadrant, I'm going to use south and east. So I always start with the cardinal direction from the north-south line. So I start with southeast. And then all I need is this little acute angle here measured to the north-south line. So I'm looking for that little acute angle, and I notice that that angle is a little bit beyond 270. So if I take my angle and I subtract away the 270 degree angle, I'll get that little acute angle there. So I do 290 minus 270, which is 20 degrees, and that gives me my bearing. The bearing from O to P is south 20 degrees east. All right, one last example. Here I have an angle in the first quadrant, 15 degrees. And first I'm going to identify the cardinal directions that I'm going to be using. Since I'm in the first quadrant, I'll be using north from the north-south line and east from the east-west line. So I have north and east. And now all I need now is the acute angle measured from the terminal side of the angle to the north-south line, which is this angle here. So I look for that angle, and I notice that that angle is less than a 90 degree angle. All I'd have to do is take 90 degrees and subtract my 15 degree angle to find out the acute angle I'm looking for from the terminal side to the north-south line is 75 degrees. And thus my bearing is north 75 degrees east. And that's how we find bearings.